Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Sauce. We had a winning Monday. We don't know exactly what the final results are because Mariners Twins is still going on, but the top bet was Cardinals and that hit. And even if I'm on the Twins, even if the Twins lose this, I'm still in the green for the day. So I'll put the final results on the screen here when that game finishes. But let's move on to Tuesday. 15 games. Tuesday's the second best baseball day of the week, in my opinion, as I always say. Let's dive in.
Welcome to The Sauce. The Sauce. Sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
First up, Brewers at Phillies. Julio Teheran pitching against Aaron Nola. Phillies open up as heavy favorites here, minus 200 at home. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we got to lean on the Phillies here. 3-2 Phillies after 5 innings. Final score 5-3 Phillies. So bad news for Julio Teheran. This Phillies lineup has great career numbers against them. The current Phillies bats are hitting .336 lifetime off him with a .1096 OPS. And it reflects in the results. In his last 5 starts against the Phillies, he's 0-3 with a .694 ERA and a 3.1 home runs per 9. Definitely has had trouble keeping the ball in the ballpark against the Phillies. And the numbers get even worse if you switch it from his last 5 starts against the Phillies to his last 3 starts against the Phillies. Gets even worse. I just don't have a ton of faith in this guy right now. You can see in his last 2 starts, he's really come down to earth after a red-hot start. He had a 1.53 ERA and a 3.93 FIP through his first 6 starts. ERA is over 10 and FIP is up near 7 in his last 2. And again, look at the home run numbers. Struggling to keep the ball in the ballpark. And things get even uglier for Teheran if you look at his numbers specifically against left-handed bats in the last 2 starts. 5.4 home runs per 9 and a 9.73 FIP. Lefties are absolutely smashing this guy right now, and the Phillies lineup is going to have 5 lefties in it, including Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber. Now, speaking of the Phillies lineup, I mean, this group isn't setting the world on fire against right-handed pitching. 21st in WRC+, 24th in on-base percentage. The last 6 right-handed starters to pitch against the Phillies, they combine for a 3.30 ERA and a 1.10 WHIP. Definitely not great numbers from the Phillies lineup against right-handed pitching, but I still think we're going to see the Phillies light this guy up. I just don't have a ton of faith in Teheran right now. Now, on the other side, we've got Aaron Nola, and this man has just had no problems dealing with the Milwaukee Brewers franchise throughout his career. He's made 10 starts against the Brewers. He's 5-1 with a 2.28 ERA and a 1.19 WHIP. And it gets even better when you look specifically at Nola's 4 starts he's made against the Brewers since 2021. He's got a 1.38 ERA and an 0.77 WHIP in those starts. So Nola has owned the Brewers in his career, and he continues to own them recently. This game's also in Philadelphia, which fares well for Aaron Nola. He's got a 3.40 ERA at home compared to a 4.99 on the road. WOBA, home runs per 9, and expected FIP numbers all also better at home. All signs point to Aaron Nola pitching a good game against the Brewers in this one. Bullpen-wise, we're looking at an even matchup here. If you look at their numbers over the last 30 days, both these bullpens have actually been great. Now, to be fair, though, most of the Phillies, the last 30 days, most of those days, Alvarado was a part of the Phillies bullpen, and he's a big piece. He's currently hurt, so I expect to see the Phillies bullpen numbers come down a bit, but there's just not enough here to take a shot on Milwaukee. I'm rolling with the Phillies. I'm either going to take Phillies minus 1.5 or I'm going to parlay the Phillies money line with something else. I'll let you know on the live show tomorrow at 4 p.m. Next game. Dodgers at Orioles. Michael Grove pitching against Tyler Wells. Baltimore opens up as slight favorites here, minus 120. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at 5-2 Baltimore after 5 innings. Final score 6-4 Baltimore. So I know that 4.45 expected FIP doesn't look terrible for Michael Grove, but I really don't know if I could trust this kid here. That 6.89 ERA and 1.55 WHIP on the season, just that's a tough sell for me. If you look specifically at his home-away splits, this man's numbers on the road actually make me physically ill. He's got an 11.15 ERA, an 11.15 ERA, 2.48 WHIP. Now, a 5.68 expected FIP isn't nearly as bad, but still, it's definitely not good either. And it gets even worse for Michael Grove. Look specifically at his numbers against left-handed bats on the road, a 2.87 WHIP. This man is getting absolutely teed off on by lefties on the road. Guess how many lefties are in the Baltimore Orioles lineup for this one? 7. The Baltimore Orioles regularly start 7 lefties against right-handed starters. So, yeah, he's going to have to deal with 7 lefties here. And then you add on the fact that the Orioles have been absolutely smashing the shit out of right-handed pitching recently. In the last 14 days, they're 5th in WRC+, 6th in isolated power, 3rd in on-base percentage. This could be an extremely tough day for Michael Grove here. Now, on the other side, we got Tyler Wells, and this man's having a great season across the board, but it gets even better when you look specifically at his numbers at home. He's got a 2.57 ERA and an 0.82 whip at home at Camden Yards this season. The bad news for Tyler Wells, he's pitching against the Dodgers, and this lineup is all the way back. The last 14 days, they're 1st in isolated power, 6th in WRC+. I like Tyler Wells a lot, but I don't know how much I would trust any right-handed arm against the Dodgers right now. Now, let's take a look at the bullpen matchup, and if you look at solely production in the last 30 days, the Dodgers have the huge edge, no question. They definitely outproduced the Orioles bullpen, but Cano and Bautista both 2 days rested for Baltimore, and the Baltimore Orioles bullpen, when those two guys are rested and ready to pitch 8 and 9, it's an entirely different unit. So I actually don't think there's much of a bullpen edge here when those two guys are rested. As far as betting the game, I'm going right back to the Orioles here. I know it bit me in the ass last night, but the Orioles really dominated that game other than one bad pitch. Bases loaded, 2 outs, 0-2 count. Dude throws him a fastball over the middle and they hit a grand slam. I mean, with the exception of that one pitch, the Orioles should have won that game. So give me Baltimore money line again. It's around -118, I think. Next game. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Guardians, Pirates. We got Logan Allen pitching against Mitch Keller. Cleveland opens up as -140 favorites here on the road. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got no lean at all as far as a side. 1-1 tie after 5 innings. After 9 innings, 3-3 tie. Well, splits-wise, this is a beautiful spot for Logan Allen. His best splits on the season are on the road against right-handed bats. On the season, he's got a 126 whip. FIP and expected FIP at 328 and 360. Those are solid numbers on the road against righties. The reason I started off with those numbers is the Pirates are most likely going to have 9 righties in their lineup in this one. Yeah, all 9. So definitely a favorable start for Logan Allen. Some more good news for Logan Allen. Look at the Pirates' recent numbers against left-handed pitching. 29th in WRC+, 26th in isolated power, 24th in on-base percentage. The last 8 lefty starters to pitch against the Pirates, they combined for 41 innings pitched, a 1.32 ERA, and an 0.85 whip. This may be Logan Allen's first start back in the rotation after being removed to make space for Cal Quantrill, but it looks like the perfect spot for him to come back. On the other side, we got Mitch Keller, and I think we need to start handicapping Mitch Keller as the pitcher he is right now, and not the pitcher he was through the first couple months of the season. You can see here, through the first 10 starts, he had a 2.44 ERA and a 2.68 FIP. Last 9 starts, 4.31 ERA and a 4.11 FIP. Not terrible, but certainly not the Cy Young caliber pitching we were seeing back in April and May. And to make matters worse for Mitch Keller, his weakness has been trying to get lefties out. Look at his numbers against left-handed bats in his last 9 starts. 5.18 ERA and a 1.77 whip. The reason that's significant, Cleveland's most likely going to have 7 lefties in their starting lineup in this one. 7. And things get even worse for Mitch Keller here. The Cleveland Guardians bats have been hitting right-handed pitching well. Sure, the power numbers aren't there, just 29th in isolated power, but 7th in WRC+, 2nd in on-base percentage, and 1st in strikeout rate. That's huge, because if Mitch Keller can't generate strikeouts, he becomes a lot more vulnerable. So I know you may look at this starting pitching matchup, Mitch Keller versus Logan Allen, and you think the Pirates have the edge in the first 5, but I disagree. I think with these splits and these lineups, I think Cleveland has the edge in the first 5. Now here's where it gets a bit shaky, because you would think the Cleveland bullpen has this huge edge over the Pirates bullpen, and they do, talent-wise. But if you look at production in the last 30 days, just not that big of a gap here. Cleveland's 21st in ERA, 22nd in expected FIP. Pittsburgh's 16th and 24th. So obviously the Guardians have the bullpen edge here, but maybe not as big of an edge as you would think. Look, at this price, I know it's a bit square, but I'm going to go with the Guardians in this one. I think they get to Mitch Keller, and other than Mitch Keller, I don't see anything that really entices me to bet the Pirates. So, like I said, a bit square, but I'm going with Cleveland money line. Next game. White Sox at Mets. Lucas Giolito pitching against Carlos Carrasco. Mets open up as -145 favorites here at home. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We got to lean on the White Sox here. 3-2 Chicago after 5 innings. Final score 5-3 Chicago. So Carlos Carrasco's been pretty solid recently. Look at the numbers from his last 3 starts. He's got a 2.12 ERA, a 1.12 whip, FIP's around 4 even. Definitely solid. That being said, we can't just ignore his home away splits on the season because he's been bad at home at Citi Field. He's got a 7.23 ERA and a 7.13 FIP at home on the season. To add even more fuel on that fire, these White Sox bats have great career numbers against Carrasco. The current White Sox lineup is batting .343 lifetime against Cookie with a .929 OPS. But that's where the good news ends for these White Sox bats because they've been absolutely dreadful against right-handed pitching this month. Since July 1st, the White Sox are 28th in OPS, 29th in WRC plus against righties. The White Sox bats are ice cold. There's no dancing around that. But I think with their history against Carrasco that we can count on them for a couple runs in the first 5 here. But Carlos Carrasco isn't the only starter in this matchup with bad home away splits in this spot. We've got Giolito making a road start where there's definitely a drop off in production for him. He's got a 2.44 ERA at home. It jumps up to a 4.71 on the road. Home runs per 9, whip, and FIP numbers all worse on the road also. And he's going to have his hands full in this one because the Metropolitans bats are hitting. Since July 1st, the Mets are 3rd in isolated power, 6th in OPS, 5th in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. I like Giolito, but I think the Mets may tag him up a bit in this one. Bullpen-wise, obviously, almost anyone's going to have the advantage over the Mets. But the White Sox bullpen really hasn't been great either. In the last 30 days, the Mets are 12th in ERA, 26th in FIP. White Sox 22nd and 12th. So what are we betting in this one? I think I'm going square in 2 straight games here. I want to see what the line does, so this isn't a final decision, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to bet the New York Mets money line in this one. I'll let you know on the live show what the final decision is at 4 p.m. next game. Giants at Reds. Anthony DeSclafani. Scoot's got the toughest name to say in baseball. He's pitching against Luke Weaver. Giants open up as -140 favorites on the road. Total opens up at 10.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got 4-3 Giants after 5 innings. Final score 6-4 Giants. So yeah, Luke Weaver's been pretty awful. I think we all know that by now. Since June 1st, he's made 7 starts. He's got a 9.40 ERA. His whip's over 2, FIP's over 6. He's been so bad. Here's the weird part. The Cincinnati Reds are 7-0 in those games. The Reds are averaging 8 runs a game in Luke Weaver's 7 starts since June 1st. Never in the history of Major League Baseball has there been a man getting more fortunate run support than Luke Weaver in his last 7 starts. That's an exaggeration, but for real, it's been crazy. Now he's set to pitch against this Giants lineup, and he's got good career numbers against them. The current Giants bats are hitting just 163 lifetime off Luke Weaver with a 573 OPS, so not great. Some more good news for Luke Weaver. The Giants bats have gone completely cold. Look at the Giants offensive numbers on the road in the last 30 days. 28th in OPS, 28th in WRC plus. They're truly one of the coldest lineups in baseball right now, if you ask me. On the other side, we got Anthony DeSclafani. Anthony D. And here are his numbers on the road. Pretty solid. This is on the season. He's got a 4.17 ERA, 4.62 FIP on the road. He's actually been slightly better on the road than at home. That's the good news. The bad news is he seems to be in a bit of a tailspin. He was pitching really well earlier in the season, but look at his numbers since June 1st. He's got a 6.92 ERA, a 1.54 whip, 5.28 FIP. So his numbers in April are kind of irrelevant if he's pitching like shit right now. But what can we expect from these Reds bats right now, honestly? You remember when they were sizzling hot, crushing the ball? Those days definitely seem to be in the past. Since July 1st, the Reds are just 20th in OPS and 23rd in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. So DeSclafani's been struggling, but the Reds bats don't scare me at all right now. When we get to the bullpens, there's no question the Giants have the huge edge. Giants bullpen may not be producing at the same level right now that they were a month ago, but this is still an elite unit. On the last 30 days, they're 9th in ERA, 5th in FIP, Reds 13th and 27th. As far as placing a bet, I guess I'm slightly leaning Giants, but last night's game got suspended, I think because of the weather, so I want to make sure these two guys are definitely pitching. I don't want to give anything out yet for this one. I'll let you know on the live show what the final decision is next game. D-backs at Braves. Zach Davies pitching against Bryce Elder. Atlanta opens up as heavy favorites here as expected. -250 here at home. Total opens up at 9.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And of course, we got to lean on the Braves. 4-2 Atlanta after 5 innings. Final score 7-3 Atlanta. So Bryce Elder's on the mound, and this dude just has not been pitching at the same level recently. Since June 1st, he's got a 4.69 ERA and a 5.58 FIP. Everyone kept pointing at his FIP early in the season when he was dominating, and everyone kept saying regression was coming. And we're officially seeing it. Bryce Elder has fell off the wagon a bit. I mean, he's not absolutely terrible, but definitely not pitching at the same level he was early in the season. The good news for Elder is he gets the pitch against Arizona in this one, and these snake bats have gone completely cold against righties. In the last 14 days, the D-backs are 29th in OPS, 28th in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. They're pretty much bottom 3 or 4 in every single offensive category. So despite Bryce Elder going through a little bit of a slump here, I still think we can count on him to pitch a good game in this one. Speaking of slumping starting pitchers, can we talk about Zach Davies for a minute? Just like Bryce Elder, we've seen these dudes' numbers just skyrocket. Since June 1st, he's got a 6.59 ERA and a 1.46 whip, and he's pitching against the Braves, so I don't really expect his situation to improve. Obviously, I don't have to tell you how good the Braves' bats have been. Atlanta is definitely not a place that righty starters are trying to travel to and pitch. Bullpen edge also heavy on the Braves. I don't have a ton of interest in betting this game, if I'm being honest, but I seriously doubt I'm going to fade the Braves, so I'll say Braves are passed for right now. I might use the Braves money line in a parlay or something. I'll let you know in the live show. Next game, Marlins at Cardinals. It's going to be Edward Cabrera pitching, I think. They shut Yuri Perez down for the season, and Cabrera, I believe, is coming back from injury. So as of right now, that's still a question mark. I think it's going to be Cabrera. Whoever it is will be pitching against Jordan Montgomery. We have no line and no total open for this one as of yet. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We definitely got to lean on the Cards here. 4-2 Cardinals after 5 innings. Final score 7-4 Cardinals. I'm going to skip this one for now. I want to make sure Edward Cabrera is definitely pitching before I give out a bet. So on the live show, 4 p.m., we'll go through this one. Next game, Nats at Cubs. Patrick Corbin's pitching against Jameson Taillon. Good luck with this one. Cubs open up as -170 favorites here at home at Wrigley. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we got 4-3 Cubs after 5 innings. Final score 6-5 Cubs. I'm actually going to skip this one too. I want to see what the line does. I mean, you got to back either Patrick Corbin on the road or Jameson Taillon. Kind of rocking a hard place there. I don't know. This might be a pass for me. I'll let you know on the live show what I decide to do. Next game, Rays at Rangers. Taj Bradley pitching against Nate Eovaldi. Texas opened up as -140 favorites here at home. Total opens up at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We got a huge lean on Texas here. 5-2 Rangers after 5 innings. Final score 7-3 Rangers. Straight up betting Texas blind on this one. Don't even have to go through it. I mean, Nate Eovaldi at home at -140 against a Rays lineup that I don't really trust on the road right now. And Taj Bradley, who has shown us he can get rocked pitching on the road in Texas. -140. He's no-brainer. Texas money line. Next game, Detroit at KC. Tigers at Royals. We got Scoobs on the mound. Tariq Skubal pitching against Daniel Lynch. Tigers open up as pretty serious road favorites here, -155. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got a heavy lean on the under here, and Detroit. We're looking at 1-0 Tigers after 5 innings. Final score 3-1 Tigers. So we got Scoobs making his 3rd start of the season, and he's actually yet to give up a single run. Now, he has been on the limit. He only threw 4 innings in each of his first 2 starts, but he's only allowed 2 hits combined in those 2 starts. And like I said, 0 earned runs. Want to know the downside, though? The Detroit Tigers somehow still 0-2 in those 2 games. You want to see something surprising? Look at the Royals' numbers against left-handed pitching since July 1st. Yes, the Kansas City Royals are 2nd in OPS and 3rd in WRC plus against lefties since July 1st. What's the kicker? They've only had 47 plate appearances against lefties in that time span, so these numbers are almost irrelevant. In fact, the Royals have only seen 1 lefty starter this entire month, and it was all the way back on July 1st. They rocked Julio Urias into another world. So I guess that's a good sign, but it was 2.5 weeks ago before the break. I don't know if I'm down to bet this Royals lineup to be the first one to spark Tariq Skubal on the season. Now, on the other side, you got Daniel Lynch, and I know if you take a quick glance at his game logs, you might be hesitant to trust this guy, but he's actually putting together a formidable season. He got rocked in the Cincinnati game, no doubt. No doubt the Reds crushed him, but look at his other 7 starts on this chart. They're not excellent, but they're all well below 6. His earned runs numbers and his FIP numbers showing around 4 or 5 runs per 9 innings. That's really not terrible, and he's actually kind of consistent. Now, trying to predict what this Tigers lineup is going to do, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Look at the recent lefties to pitch against the Tigers. They absolutely murder Hogan Harris, right? They crushed Hogan Harris. 2 days before that, JP Sears throws an absolute gem. 3 1/3 innings of shutout baseball. A few days before that, Austin Gomer throws a gem against them, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. And then before that, they get to Cody Bradford. They scored 3 runs on him in, I think it was 4 1/3 innings. So do I think Daniel Lynch pitches a good game? Yeah, I think he does, but the fact that we've seen the Tigers really get to a couple lefties in the last 2 or 3 weeks definitely scares me a bit. Bullpen wise, Tigers definitely have the advantage, so I'm definitely would lean Detroit here. I'm not going to take Kansas City, but this price just might be a little much for me. I'll say Tigers or pass for now. Next game, Astros at Rockies. We got Hunter Brown pitching against Matt Koch. I think this is another one where the starting pitcher's up for grabs. I think it's going to be Matt Koch. There's no line and no total open for this one as I'm recording this. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got a slight lean on Houston, 4-3 Astros after 5 innings. Final score 7-5 Astros. So like I said, it looks like it's going to be Matt Koch making his first start since 2018. He spent most of his time in the minor leagues. Made a few appearances out of the bullpen here and there. I'm definitely passing on this one. This isn't wait till the live show and I'll let you know. I'm straight passing on this game. Next, Yankees at Angels. Domingo Germán pitching against Patrick Sandoval. This one opens up as a straight pick 'em here, -110 across the board. Total opens up at 7.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we got a 3-3 tie after 5 innings. Final score 6-5 Yanks. So Domingo Germán's got to be one of the toughest starting pitchers to handicap in baseball right now. Here are his numbers from his last 2 starts. These are the 2 starts he's made since the perfect game. These numbers are definitely solid looking. He did give up 9 hits in the Baltimore game, though, so I'd say these numbers don't quite tell the entire story, but I think it's safe to say after the last 2 starts that the perfect game wasn't a complete fluke. This dude's actually pitching pretty well right now. But the thing is, the Angels' bats might be back. Look at the last 3 righty starters to pitch against the Angels. 3 runs in 5 innings on Christian Javier, 4 runs on 4 1/3 innings on JP France, 4 runs on 6 2/3 on Tony Gonsolin. We might officially be able to put that Angels batting slump in the past. I mean, it wasn't the longest slump anyway. If you look at the last 30 days, they're still top 10, top 11 against right-handed pitching. So I think that slump is officially over. On the other side, we got Patrick Sandoval. And look, I know he's been terrible. I'm not going to try to argue with you there. That being said, he did look really great in his last start on the road in San Diego. Not an easy place to pitch if you're a lefty, and he threw a great game. And if you look at his numbers from that terrible month of June, he was bad in June. You can see the FIP and expected FIP numbers are actually down below 4, indicating that Patrick Sandoval's had some pretty awful luck recently. I think we're going to see Sandoval bounce back in the second half of this season. Now, the bad news for Patrick Sandoval would be the Yankees have been absolutely murdering left-handed pitching recently. In the last 30 days, the Yanks have some great looking numbers against lefties, 4th in OPS, 3rd in WRC+. But if you dig a little deeper and actually look at the game logs of the last few lefty starters that have pitched against the Yankees, they've seen 4 since July 1st. Yes, they got to Drew Smyly, and yes, they got to Liberatore back on July 1st, but Jordan Montgomery blanked them, and Austin Gomer just pitched a great game against the Yankees the other day. So I don't know how much I buy into the Yankees numbers against lefties anymore. Seems like most of that damage have come against bullpen arms. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Patrick Sandoval is going to shock us and pitch a good game against the Yankees here. And if that's the case, I don't see any reason to back New York in this spot. So I'm on the Angels. I'm going to take the Angels on the money line next game. Boston at Oakland, Red Sox, A's. Louis Medina pitching against, I think it's going to be Brandon Walter. Not sure. Another game with a question mark at starting pitching. MLB's getting worse than the NBA with this man. As of right now, there's no line open and no total open. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. Of course, we got to lean on Boston. 4-1 Red Sox after 5 innings. Final score 7-3 Red Sox. So yeah, I'm skipping this one too. I want to see who's pitching for the Red Sox. Might have a bet for this one on the live show at 4 p.m. Might not. I'll let you know next game. Twins at Mariners. Bailey Ober pitching against Brian Wu. Mariners open up as -140 favorites. Total opens up at 7. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got 1-0 Twins after 5 innings. Final score 3-2 Twins. Well, we got Bailey Ober on the mound, like I said, and let's start with his home-away splits. He's been good everywhere. He's having a career season. But specifically, he's been a monster on the road. On the road this season, he's got a 2.01 ERA, an 0.77 WHIP, and a 3.62 expected FIP. Truly impressive. And by the way, it's not like he's had a cotton candy schedule either. He's pitched in Cleveland, he's pitched in Tampa, he's pitched in Dodger Stadium. I mean, he's been truly impressive, Bailey Ober. And some more good news for the Twins. These Mariners bats have terrible career numbers against Bailey Ober. Just 5 of 27 lifetime. That's just a 185 average with a 519 OPS. Here are the last 3 righties to pitch against Seattle, and the Mariners really didn't get to any of them. Now, obviously, this graphic was made before last night's game, and they did just hit up Sonny Gray. so this graphic might be a bit meaningless now. That being said, Michael Lorenzen threw damn near 7 shutout innings against this Mariners lineup, so just because they got to Sonny Gray tonight, or last night I should say, doesn't mean I'm all of a sudden going to trust these bats. I think this lineup is trash. On the other side, we got Brian Wu pitching, and there's really nothing negative you could say about this kid. It's kind of insane how well he's pitched considering he's a rookie. He's only made 7 career starts. Look at his numbers from his last 5. 193 ERA and 0.86 whip. FIP numbers looking solid as well. Now, basically, our only concern, and if you watch this channel, you know what I'm about to say already, has been his splits against left-handed bats. Now, he's definitely improving, but still, these numbers are pretty crazy looking. A 133 WOBA against righties jumps to a 479 against lefties. Look at the FIP and expected FIP numbers. 108 and 208 jump up to a 760 and a 603 against lefties. The good news, Twins don't start many significant lefties. There's only 4 in their lineup, and all their main pieces are righties, so not really sweating these splits in this one. Something I am sweating, though, for Brian Wu would be the Minnesota Twins' recent numbers against righties. In the last 14 days, they're top 10 in every single category and top 5 in most. Last 14 days against righties, Twins are 2nd in WRC+, 4th in OPS, 2nd in isolated power. So they've been getting to right-handed pitching. But here's the thing, those numbers might be a bit of fool's gold, because if you actually look at the game logs of the recent righty starters, they really haven't been sparking these guys. They did light Zach Greinke up on the 4th of July a couple weeks back, but since then, 2 runs on Alec Marsh, 2 runs on Tyler Wells, 2 runs on Kyle Gibson. It isn't exactly blowing me away. Now, as far as the bullpen matchup goes, the edge here should go to Seattle. It's not, though, because the Mariners' bullpen is absolutely taxed. Sewald, Munoz, and Brash, all 3 of those guys pitched on back-to-back nights, so all 3 of those guys most likely not available, missing their 3 best bullpen arms, which is why I hate to do it. I hate to fade Brian Wu, but I gotta. I'm going back to the Twins. They bit me on the ass last night, but going back to them, Seattle's bullpen is just way too taxed. So give me Minnesota money line at the plus money. Let's go. If anything changes with any of these bets, I will let you know on Twitter. So give me a follow there if you're interested. Like I've mentioned several times, live show 4 p.m. Eastern time. Jay Briggs from Pick Dogs is joining me in Toast. So if you're able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. If you'd like the final tickets that I post, which has my top bets, tonight's was the Cardinals, that hit. It also has every single bet I'm making for the night, parlay of the day, VIP chat, that kind of stuff. Head over to KyleKirms.com. Tuesday MLB, we got 15 games. Let's focus up. Let's pick our spots. Let's have another winning day. 4 of the last 5 MLB days have been green for me, so let's keep that rolling. If you need anything, hit me up on Twitter. Remember to bet responsibly and have a nice day.